Welcome to another episode of Speak Up Sports Podcast. Of course, we're missing one today, so it's just Cass and Chris. What's up, Chris?
What's up, man? We got the jet setter, Mr. Worldwide, he has some business.
Mr. Worldwide, for real. Of course, he is traveling.
To take care of. Go ahead, man. Go ahead, get your jokes off, man. We already know what's up. We already know. So
we know. You see the hat. You see the Falcons hat. We had the right two on this podcast today for sure. We're both our squads facing off Monday night game. Look, I'm not gonna lie to you. I thought we were dead in the water as a Falcons fan, of course. Thought we were dead in the water until y'all sold. And I, for one, cannot believe that happened. We can talk about the 3rd and 3 decision to throw the ball to Saquon. We can start there. We can start with the whole game. But I want to hear your reaction to like how that shit just transpired down the stretch of that game.
Look. I'm just like you, man. When that 4th and 1 happened and CJ Gardner came down and just stonewall Bijan, I thought we had it in the bag. Because at that point,
it was only like 6 minutes left or something like that. 5 minutes.
The thing is, with our offense, which we did against Green Bay, when it comes to that time, we normally like chew up the clock. We just chew it up. And at that point, neither one of our defenses could really stop the run. I mean, we abandoned it, but at the time we were running the ball, couldn't really be stopped. So
yeah,
we getting play after play. Saquon getting 7 here, getting 5 where it was just chewing the clock. So I really thought it was wraps. It was game over. But I mean, I've been going back and forth with myself with that 3rd down play. I'm not mad at the play. 9 times 10, Saquon's catching that ball. It was wide open. I can't get mad at the players not executing. Coach, I mean, he called it. It was a good play. It wasn't like it was like some random run-of-the-mill trick play or something. It was a play we ran earlier, which we thought we scored on, but he fell short at 1. Yeah. But again, everybody's, the Falcons ready for the run. He could have called it. It would have been game over. And then I get the sentiment of if you'd have just ran the ball, kicked the field goal, you would have had 40 seconds or so left. But it took Kirk Cousins 60 seconds to get down that damn field. So if that don't tell you what you need to know, then I don't know what else to say. At that point in time, it didn't matter how much time was on that clock. Our defense just wet the bed. I mean, my God. I said this last week. If we get pass rush, we good.
Yeah.
If Falcons cannot block our D lineman, which now I got questions about our D line because this is 2 weeks in a row where no pressure, better field, then you can't use Brazil as an argument. I mean, Kirk Cousins was standing there and had nothing to worry about, man. Like that was
Chilling.
like the most demoralizing thing I ever seen.
He went through so many reads, bro. He got to his 4th read way too many times in that game. Overall.
Exactly. And honestly, after the first pass on that last drive where y'all scored, I knew y'all was scoring touchdown. I was like, yeah.
That first one, the Kyle Pitts?
I was like, they're scoring
to get the ball rolling.
I just knew that we were playing way too far back. I mean, they get passive. I don't know. That shit hurt my heart, bro. Because I was like, we had it in the bags, but I mean, good win by the Falcons.
No, it was crazy, man. Of course, a lot is being made a decision. People put the blame on Saquon. People put the blame on Nick Sirianni. There's just been a lot of talk about that the last couple of days. But I think, like you said, I think that's glossing over the fact, like how y'all really lost that game. Because regardless, y'all were still up by 6 with 1 minute and 39 seconds left.
A touchdown
we
will
had
beat
no
you.
timeouts.
A touchdown will beat you. That's the problem. A touchdown will beat you. So
throughout all that, you still should have won that game, regardless of what happened with the Saquon catch. Mm-hmm. That defense was, I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what the fuck Vic was doing. I mean, I do know what he was doing, but I don't know why. You let Kirk throw the same route twice against two different defenses. The second one was, I think he was in like a man, but you knew it was coming. Kirk was sitting over there staring at him. It's not like he was just scanning the field. Both times he stared right at Darnell Mooney, waiting for him to get open because he knew he was getting open. That's a terrible defensive, defensive execution.
And I think that shows, a little bit of the rookie, because I looked back at the film, and He went forward on the flat route it was a little flat route that went in front of him. And he stepped forward instead of like, you got to get back. Like, you know where they're going.
Yep.
You know where they're trying to get. That flat route's not gonna kill you.
You can
He's
always
gonna
come
have to
up and get
You
that.
can
They
always
have
come
to
up and
score.
get that.
We have to score a touchdown. Like, you're not trying to like save yardage. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you could come, because still that flat route went out 10 yards. I mean, it was just like it. And
I feel like
he's a
Kurt
rookie.
wasn't gonna throw it there because he would have threw that immediately. You wasted time waiting and then end up throwing on a flat route. But that's why I'm like, I can't really get mad at the play call or the offense,
You can't get
because you in that situation, a minute left. You know, it's not a minute left. You up by 2. You got to keep my field goal rate. It's a minute left. No timeouts. A touchdown will beat you.
It's like, what can go wrong did go wrong. You don't often see that. But that's exactly what happened. Down to the Drake London touchdown catch when Slay bit. Everybody else was covered. Like, I went back and watched it.
I'm like, Slay. They're bunched up. His only option is outside. That is his only options. Why would you even? You could stand and set on the inside of him and play the outside route, but don't bite on it.
You had safety help inside as well. I don't like. I get that he was. I mean, it is big play slate. I don't know what he was. Maybe he wanted to make a big play, but you had safety help inside. If Drake would have ran a post, which is what I think he was biting on, Kurt would have had to fit that shit in there very well for that shit to happen. I mean, only other way, and you had outside leverage. You were not supposed to. You had outside leverage. He still got outside of you.
They tried that. They literally just, the play before that, he tried to go inside and it wasn't gonna work. We had people sitting. I'm like,
it was that was one of the ones. That was one of the ones where you're just like, what the fuck? No, but like, the question is like, kind of like, where do you go from here? As an Eagles fan, you saw how last season went down the stretch. Of course, that was brought up a lot too this week. Y'all folded. Y'all sold a lot of games down the stretch, a lot of close games. Do you think this is something that you can get past really quick? It is only week 2, but you do look like 2 tough games coming up, apparently. so how do you think you bounce clearly? How do you think you bounce back?
As an Eagle fan, that day, that night, ready to jump off the ledge. I was like, here we fucking go again. Like, what's going on? But after sitting on it and just thinking about it, it's like, okay, like you just said, Kat, it's week 2. I mean, we had some disastrous games. It's literally the real issue is literally because it was prime time. This is the one thing I hate about prime time. You gotta hate and love it at the same time. That's the time to showcase your skill. Everybody's gonna see it. But at the same time, if this happened at a 1 o'clock game, this might not even been a topic of conversation.
Probably not.
And I'm like,
you're right about that.
I understand our defense, but at the same time, we only gave up 15 points up into that drive for the vast majority of the game. We only gave up field goals. Y'all scored the one touchdown. Y'all controlled
the game.
We controlled the game.
The time possession was ridiculous.
And I think that's another thing that people not really taking thought in. I know we only scored 21 points, but we did this without AJ Brown. That was one of my bigger concerns once we find out later in the week, obviously after we made our picks, that AJ wasn't going to play. I'm like, well, how the offense going to look? It did look crazy at some points in time, but at other points in time, you saw Jalen Hurts actually take over. I know people going to talk about turnover, that he shouldn't do that, but I mean, in the game, whatever. I'm not going to say he just made a bad decision. I mean, he could have held it, whatever the case may be, but I'm optimistic. I just think at this point, what's going to change is our D-line has to play better. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah. You paid a lot of money to Bryce Huff
to play,
for him to
have Cass. He has 0 solo tackles in 2 games. He has 1 assisted.
Yeah.
He's
sitting there tripping over his own feet.
Look, you know they tell you better not ever block what happened to Brock Purdy when they put a tight end on Hassan Reddick? He got his arm blown out. Like, you should not. I get Kyle Pitts might be a good blocking. No, you should not get blocked by a tight end. I'm sorry. That's just not. That just should not happen. And you getting paid to not get blocked by like a tackle, like an all pro tackle should be blocking you. Not no tight end. That's unacceptable. And it's not just him; it's across the whole line. I mean, Jalen
Yeah.
Carter ain't been showing up. Neither has Jordan Davis. And I'm like, at this point, that's where we lacking as a defense. Like, I understand we got a younger secondary, so they're gonna gel and grow. But it's just at this point, it's like our D line has to show up, and we're gonna talk about that too. But this next game is pivotal because they was running the
Yeah.
fuck out the ball last week against the Cowboys, and we could not stop Bijan at all.
That was the thing I noticed, like, especially with y'all. Actually, we did the same thing. We were pretty much, the Falcons were exclusively 11 personnel, pretty much. They always had 3 receivers out there. And, of course, having that spreads your defense out, puts you in nickel more.
It put us in nickel.
Then they were just, and then, so you weren't getting, and that puts the onus on Carter, on Davis, whoever you have in the middle. That puts the onus on them to actually, like, stuff those gaps. And clearly it didn't happen. They were like, Bijan he averaged 7 yards a carry. It was pretty on both sides. Like,
and
Saquon was going all saying.
And that's why even when y'all got towards the red zone, we was able to slow it down because we had a 50 front.
You brought it in. Yep.
We had the 5 linemen
down.
Held up the gaps. Linebackers able to shoot, but y'all, I mean, like you said, y'all played it smart. Y'all knew 11 personnel, we going straight nickel because of the fear of, you got a tight end who's athletic, you got a receiver. But I just feel like your other 2 receivers outside of Drake and Kyle, they shouldn't threaten you enough to feel like you have to be in nickel all day, every day. At that point, it's like, man, that shit demoralizing when you see your team get ran on. I'm sorry. That shit just not.
Yeah, I know. And I think a lot of that, because actually, like Drake, those were 2 that were involved in this game. Not even Drake or Kyle Pitts. Like, most of the early targets went to Ray McLeod, and Darnell Mooney, of course, had a touchdown on CJ. So it was a great game plan. That's kind of what I wanted to see from Zach Robinson after the debacle of last week against the Steelers. He came and bounced back and actually showed that he can call plays in this league, because last week was just ridiculous. But yeah, like, being able to have Kyle Pitts or Charlie Warner block a whole defensive end allows so much time for Kirk. And I don't know, like, that won't be the case going forward. I doubt it. I just think that was really bad on that Eagles defense. That's what has me worried for y'all going forward, for sure. That's my biggest. I like, Kirk is not supposed to have that much time. He's not mobile. He's not moving around. Like, Jalen created some time back there. Of course, we saw, and then he'll take off. Kirk, like, just sitting there. He's just sitting there. He's a statue. He's been a statue.
Rollouts. There's none of that. Like,
nothing. So you know where he is. You know where he's going to be. And you still couldn't get there. That's a little concerning. But yeah, it was a hell of a game though. Like, for fans that of neither of these teams, that was still a good game, especially that fourth quarter. But yeah, we can kind of go to some other games that happened over the weekend. We can start with the Thursday night game that happened last week with the Bills and Dolphins, and kind of just touch. I mean, it was a shellacking, 2 or 3 picks before he got injured. But what are your thoughts on, like, Tua, his injury, what he should do, what the team should do? This is his 3rd documented concussion, but we all know that he had an undocumented one very clearly that they, for whatever reason, did not call in 2022, and then 4 days later he got stretchered off the field. We all saw that happen. So what are you thinking? What were you thinking when he went down?
It's tough because as soon as it happened, like, everybody don't, show signs of concussions the same way. But his signs are legitimately bad. Like, for him to have his fingers convulse and just hold up, like, in just in a place, like, he's having a legitimate concussion right in front of your eyes. It ain't no, like, oh, they called that, like,
he just shooken up a little bit,
right? Or he look like he's stumbling. No, he's convulsing, like, he's literally having a concussion right in your face, and it's just like, that ain't the first time it happened. And it's like, first of all, why the fuck did you not slide? Like, what were you doing? Like, I get it, and then that's the part where it's like, you almost got to take the football away from him, because he's gonna come. He's gonna want to come back. He want to play this week. He probably think he's good enough to play. But because, like, you did all that, you had a bad game, and now you had a bad game. Now you forcing it, and I'm gonna run somebody over and get hit. You pressing, like, just because you got to show that you better than what people are saying. But I mean, it's tough. He shouldn't play no more, but he's going to play again this year. I don't know, but as long as I mean, unless the team says we're not going to ever play you ever again, you're done with us, he's going to come back. But that's just a tough situation. I mean, it's a player on the Eagles who had chronic concussions in college, and he was, he retired. He had stopped playing because he was like, he had 3 or 4. Every time he got hit, he'd get it. And it's like, you got to think,
and that's the thing with this one. This wasn't even a big hit.
Every hit you take, like, what if you in the pocket and you get hit on your blind side? Not even you running, you get hit on the blind side, concussion. Like, it's happening too much now.
Yeah, you definitely become more like prone to it. This wasn't even like it wasn't a helmet. He ran his helmet into DeMar Hamlin's chest. This is something that can happen on any play. This is something that does happen on pretty much every play. So any kind of contact to your head, you get a concussion. Now, a bad one. That's what has me worried. I think he should also hang it up. I know he's probably not, but when is enough? How many more hits? How many more concussions is it going to take for you to be like, all right, like that's what I don't really understand about all this. I know they put him on IR and they're having to see specialists and all that. So I mean, the doctors know more than we do, of course, but at the same time, they don't. Because there's a lot of unknown concussions in your head. Like, there's a lot of unknown. Like, we're still figuring this shit out about CTE and all this stuff that happens later on.
You can't even check CTE till you're dead.
So exactly. So it's like, when is enough? Like, in Tua, like you said, he was pressing in that game. He threw 3 picks. He sold the hell out of that game. He did, yes. So he tried to make a play on 4th down. Who's to say he won't do that again in the heat of the moment? You don't like even as his teammates, as people who play against him, I wouldn't even feel comfortable like hitting him, and that's unfair. You know what I mean? That's kind of unfair in my opinion, because it's like you're putting out a clearly, I don't want to say disabled, but honestly, yeah, this like a disabled person. Like, I can't do exactly what I need to do to bring him down because I'm worried about his health at the end of the day, because we're all we're all a fraternity in this. So that's what I don't like going forward for Tua. I mean, it does suck because they just paid him, and they just paid him. And the reason why it took so long,
facts.
The reason why it took so long was because of this exact thing happening. Luckily for him, he did get paid, because if he never signed that extension this offseason and this happened, they would not sign him to an extension. I promise you. Like, they would not. They'll probably make sure he's straight. He makes sure he's straight, but they ain't signing him to no whatever 55 whatever he got a year deal. They're not doing that. You're not doing that. So he had a clean season last year, which gave everybody hope. But for this to happen in week 2 of this year, after you went out through all the offseason losing weight and all this stuff, to be more like agile and quit, man, it's I don't know. I don't know. We'll see if he gets back out there this season, but
it's not looking good.
Yeah, but the Bills pretty much, I mean, that game was over at the beginning of the 3rd quarter pretty much, and they kind of just ran it out on both sides to get out of there. But Sunday slate, like you said, a lot of weird shit happened. A lot of weird shit happens. The Saints beat the shit out of the Cowboys. They look legit. That offense, they scored 44 points coming off of scoring 47. We all thought it was 47. We were like, it's the Panthers, But then they go and do it to the Cowboys, and it's like that offense, they're scoring like every possession. It's like, what the fuck I got going on over there? I don't know. Like, what's going on? What's going on in New Orleans? Are they for real?
Voodoo going by.
Yeah, I don't like it. I'm telling you,
I say, as a Falcon fan, I know that's tough.
Whatever it is, I don't like it.
I mean, it's interesting because it's almost like, even with like, I'm gonna look at it from Dallas' perspective. It's like, man, what was their calling card of last year? Being good at home. And what was their kryptonite? Teams running the ball. They got a new defensive coordinator. and nothing changed. Like they literally ran the ball at will when they felt like it, getting in space, getting a lineman on their D line, pushing. I mean, I'm talking about moving people off the ball. And defensively, I mean, I'm not gonna say the Cowboys offense played bad, but for them to have one explosive play and on some fluke missed tackle with CeeDee Lamb, their offense was really stagnant. I mean, they didn't really get no big plays, especially with them not having Marshawn Lattimore. Like, they literally was playing man a lot and was like, you going to have to beat us. I don't care what you talking about. That was some
They
difference.
played a field goal game, and New Orleans were scoring. That's what Dak came out after the game was like. Well, we scored on a lot of possessions. Like, no, they're scoring touchdowns over there. You cannot settle for field goals. Like you said, outside of the CD play, the CD play was the only touchdown, right?
I think
you
so.
cannot sit there. You cannot sit there and only kick field goals. Like, that is not going to work against that. I don't know what they got going. I don't want to call them juggernaut, but the offense looks good. It looks damn good. So, I mean, they got routed. It was, it's just a nobody expected it, especially at home for the Cowboys. Of course, we all picked the Cowboys to win last week. So I'm sitting there looking at it. You got Kamara, like Derek Carr didn't even have to do much, and that's probably the best way for them to function. You know what I mean? In a way, he ended up like, of course, he threw a pick too later in the game, but Alvin Kamara took that game over very quickly.
I feel like he only had like 3 incompletions maybe in the entire game.
So this offense seems, tailor-made for their players, which is what you need to do as an offensive coordinator, as a new offensive coordinator coming in. So these are all the same pieces they had last year. That's the crazy part about it. And then, like, this is supposed to be a lesser O-line because Ramczyk is injured or whatever, and you got fill-ins. This is literally the same. Like, they got the same offense, and they come out here and drop, what is it? Quick math, 90 something points in 2 games. That's more than they had in multiple games last year.
You know what they say? That's that Kyle Shanahan tree.
That's true. Yeah, tree dangerous.
He came right off that tree. So
right off that tree. He's passing game specialist for the 49ers.
So I mean, that's tough.
Shout out to the Saints. I mean, you got to give it. I mean, look, we'll find out some more about them this weekend when we get to our picks. We'll talk about it more. But yeah, that was a little bit surprising. Of course, Vikings, another surprising team. That's 2-0, and they got freaking, like, I don't know, like, that defense had the 49ers flustered. They got Sam Darnold looking like an actual NFL quarterback. Is he? Like, what's going on in Minnesota? What you think? What you think this shit is about?
I don't know, but I will say San Francisco, this is an important stretch coming up. They're without Christian McCaffrey. Debo just got hurt. I mean, it's just their defense is interesting because their defense actually played decently. I mean, Fred Warner, oh my God, that's a football player, man. He's making all the plays, but I mean, I like what I see from the Vikings. I think, like, Shai has said before, Brian Flores is actually a good defensive coordinator. He might not be a good head coach. I mean, that's remains to be seen. But then again, he might knew what he was talking about. But
he might have knew what he was talking about.
He might have knew what he was talking about. But I mean, as far as the defense, I mean, coming in, that's his calling card. He's like almost like another Tom Bowles. Like, he's gonna call that blitz. He gonna call it from anywhere. He gonna call it from the street. He gonna call all the blitzes. And I mean, Brock Purdy even gave him mid flowers, like, "Hey, you throw us some crazy stuff." Like, scheme, I seen him play, like, it was like he had 8 in the box and then dropped everybody but like 2 or 3 linemen. Like, he was
3 linemen. Yeah, he had 8 in the box and then only 3 rush. Everybody else is dropping back, like, straight
just
back.
Drop back. Yeah. So
as a quarterback, I know that's confusing for sure.
They might not.
Yeah, I mean, San Francisco. Look, this is the stretch they have coming up, and of course, McCaffrey should be back. Well, we'll see. I don't even know because, like, with that Achilles tendonitis, that's the same shit. And then I forgot who brought it up. Somebody pulled it. So, like, first round of playoffs last year, Dre Greenlaw had Achilles tendonitis, and he was limited in practice. He ended up still playing a couple games, and then of course we all saw what happened in the Super Bowl. He ended up popping that shit. You got to be careful with that, especially with a 29-year-old running back. And
y'all be running into the ground.
Into the ground. And at this point in his career, if Christian gets an injury like that, that's pretty much a wrap. Let's just be honest about it. He can be like, he'll be effective maybe down the line, but he's not going to be
explosiveness.
You know what I mean? So you don't want to rush him back, but at the same time, you got the Rams this weekend, which it is, anything could happen in that game because, I mean, the Rams are hurt. They're going through a lot of injuries, but they going through it for sure. But at the same time, it's division games, so you just never know. And Matt Stafford is still there. And then you got New England, who is frisky.
Frisky. They got a defense. We know that for a fact. They got a defense.
Frisky.
They got a defense.
But then you got a stretch. You have Arizona, they look damn good. Arizona, Seattle, Kansas City, Dallas, both at home. Then you're at Tampa Bay. You got Seattle, Green Bay, and then Buffalo. That is straight. That's like that's a little bit of a. We'll see how Seattle actually, because they got two wins, but we'll see if that's real or not. But you got a tough stretch coming up if you're San Francisco. You can't really. And with Debo's injury, we all know Debo gets nicked up every single year for a few games here and there. So it can get a little ugly. We're gonna find out a lot about Brock Purdy over these next few weeks for sure. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a bad thing for him. Who knows? But it can get a little ugly in San Francisco. And I don't like, but honestly, I like how that division is looking now. It's anybody's division at this point.
It's anybody's.
As of right now, it's anybody's.
Like you just said, Cardinals look damn good. Seattle, we don't really know, but they are already off to a 2-0 start. The Rams, they are dealing with some injuries, but again, it's Matthew Stafford. They're gonna, as long as he's there, they're gonna be within it, and as long as obviously Sean McVay is the head coach, they're gonna be doing good. And then you got San Francisco, who've been, in the NFC Championship the last what?
Yeah, so we'll kind of see how they go from there. But then who else we got? So another surprising game, I guess you can call it surprising. But let's talk about the Bengals Chiefs game, because that was one that everybody was looking forward to. Of course, this was in Kansas City, who they were calling Burrowhead. And honestly, the Bengals should have won that game. But there's some selling going on. Of course, they had this little strip sack on Joe Burrow that the Chiefs scored off of. Other than that, their offense wasn't really doing too much. And then, of course, the controversial ending of the pass interference that he did get there early for. Tough call, but you got to be better as a DB. So what were your overall impressions of that game and kind of how it ended?
Man, I thought I picked a good-ass game because I said the Bengals. Yeah. I was like, yeah, the Bengals. But, I mean, that just goes to show you that, you can't count the Bengals out. It doesn't matter how. They just start off bad. It doesn't matter. The first week was terrible. By all stretch of the imagination, it was bad. But you just can't count them out as a team. Like Joe Burrow Jamar Chase didn't even really get no real plays. You know what I'm saying? He only caught 2 or 3 passes. I mean, Joe Burrow made do what he had. He didn't even have T. Higgins. And they were in control of the game the entire time. And for whatever reason, it's not even just Joe Burrow, Cass. For whatever reason, that defense played their hearts out every time they played Kansas City. It's like they figured something out, like how to stop him. Like they literally slow Mahomes down every single time. It's not even funny. Yeah. Like I don't know what it is. I don't know what defense they call it. I don't know what he got going on.
They got their number for sure.
They come to play every time, and man, that interception, Hey, shout out to him.
By Taylor Britt?
Yes.
That shit was clean. That shit was clean.
That
was one of the cleanest interceptions I've ever seen.
It was against Worthy, the same person he called out, or obviously he called out Xavier Word early week saying, he's just a jet sweep, straight line guy. He don't really got no moves. I'm not really worried about it. I mean, he backed it up, although he did get burnt that one touchdown with Rasheed Rice. But
Rasheed Rice,
Damn, that's a tough way to lose, though. I mean, you have a 4th down, you get a penalty. Now you made it 4th and 16. Tough.
There's no way you're supposed
I
to lose
mean,
that.
that was literally game. Like once that penalty
Yeah,
happened, it was game. Like it should have
should have
been
been.
dead over with. But I can't lie. I mean, like you said, Kaz, he clearly got there early. It wasn't no bang bang nothing. He got there
Yeah,
legitimately early. He hit him like way beforehand. And even looking at it, it was like it was more like, if he didn't get there early, he was gonna catch the ball. For whatever reason, he was open. If
yeah.
he didn't play the ball correctly, he was gonna catch it.
It was definitely sad to see if you're a Bengals fan. I don't know how much that messes with their psyche going forward, but at the same time, the Bengals do have a couple of winnable games coming up that they have to take advantage of. They have Washington, and then they have Carolina. You got to take care of business, and kind of you got to right that ship, get back 500, get back to 2-2. But like it's kind of like I said last week, like going to this stretch, these are some winnable games, and you just showed that you really should be 2-0 right now. You really just dropped the ball against the Patriots. I don't know what the hell's going on, but you should have won this game. We'll see how they go going forward. But you're sitting at 0-2, and that's not a good thing. That's not a good spot to be early in the season. But also 0-2 are the Baltimore Ravens. And look, we all we gave them a pass for the Chiefs game because it was like, all right, they're playing the Chiefs. Fine, cool, whatever. They played them hard. They really should have won that by a toe. But then you go out against the Raiders, and I credit to the Raiders defense. They stepped up a little bit, but at the same time, it was a lot of mistakes on the offensive side that prevented them from winning that game, and the punter that prevented them from winning the game. The Ravens might be in trouble. The Ravens might be in trouble for real.
Yes, a must-win week. We gonna again get this our picks later, but this is a must-win week for them. I mean, it is a tough way, like you said, not even just a total line, like to be able to miss, Zay Flowers earlier, the play right before, if I'm not mistaken, and then just that's another game you really had in the bag, honestly, up against the Raiders, and to allow them to come back. I mean, I don't know. That offense is disjointed. That defense, I understand it's a new defense coordinator. Maybe it's just some growing pains there. They still got pretty much, I'm not gonna say all the same players. Obviously, Jadeveon Clowney's not there anymore. Patrick Queen not there anymore. But Geno Stone not there anymore. But I mean,
you feel like you have enough though. Still,
you should. Exactly. You feel like you have plenty of pieces on that side of the ball to, put up some resistance. And so I'm just gonna chalk it up as new defense coordinator scheme. They're just trying to work through it. But yeah, I mean, it's looking rough for them right now. Down 0-2, like you said, Kat, they should be 2-0. They should be 2-0 right now.
And you gotta be sick. Like, you gotta be sick if you're them, because they have a tough stretch coming up as well. The next 3 games are Dallas, Buffalo, and Cincinnati. All right, now, all right, play around if you want to.
Yeah, I might be 0-2, but Dallas just came off a nasty loss, so they trying to get that taste out their mouth. Buffalo is looking formidable, like nobody can really stop them. They know what they're doing, and Cincinnati got to get right. So they not trying. They ain't trying to get too far behind either. So yeah, tough stretch.
Tough stretch. Of course, like there's some other games, like Commanders beat the Giants. We ain't gotta talk too much about that. Seahawks beat the Patriots. Packers beat the Colts. Ran it all over them.
Hey, just so y'all know, our boy Shy, he going through it. So pray for him.
Oh yeah, for sure. The Colts, man, they were not supposed to drop that game, but we'll keep moving. Texans beat the Bears. That was a Sunday night game, and of course, and a little teaser. But next week we're going to get into more of the rookies and the second year quarterbacks and kind of how they're faring. Of course, we got the news about Bryce Young being benched and how that is going forward for Carolina, what that can look like. But there's a lot to talk about when it comes to these rookies, how they're playing so far, and the second year players. That kind of lends you to kind of what we've been saying, that you don't give these rookies too much grace coming into the league, and it's different from how it used to be. They throw you out there. They throw you out there, no learning, period. No, and then they judge you very hard for it. But at the same time, that's what we got to go on. You're out there playing. Your coaches are putting you out there playing every week. That's what we had to go on. That's what we're going to talk about. It is, you can call it unfair. You can call it like, just give them time. But you know who has had time? Zach Wilson, Kenny Pickett. We saw this shit from the jump with them too. And they also had time. And then after time, it was still the same shit. So
I mean, they can become, maybe, who I'm about to say, but he had the same situation. Sam Darnold. This is fourth team. He was a top 5 pick. Left the Jets, left the Panthers, left the 49ers. I mean, luckily, unfortunately, I'm not gonna say luckily, but unfortunately, JJ McCarthy hurt. Although they said he was gonna start anyway. But still though, that's another example. And it's just like, and to be honest, the reason why is because these coaches, as you see, they jobs on the fucking line.
Yep.
I mean, whether you want to say it or not, Frank Reich got fired for last year in the middle of the year, and that was his first year there. He got fired
after 11 games. He got fired. That
was his first year there. So coaches are like, look, nah, you gotta produce. Like, we just gotta put you out there because my job is on the line, and it's a tough situation because, I mean, obviously, I don't know if people know, but the story is he wanted C.J. Stroud. Owner wanted Bryce Young. So you drafting Bryce Young, you have no choice but to play him. You have no choice because that's who you wanted. No more. You have zero choice but to play him. And now it's like, okay, was it Frank Wright's fault, or was Bryce Young just not ready yet? I don't know. I'm not saying he's sorry. I'm not saying he's bad.
But you got him. You brought in another coach. That's the thing about Bryce Young. That's a whole other thing too, bro. You brought in another coach, and we talked about this last week too. And this what really got me kind of hot about this whole situation, because I'm not like, I don't think Bryce Young is sorry. We all saw him in college. We all saw what he can do. I don't like his size. I don't think that's conducive to a long career in the NFL. That's just me. That's my opinion. Kyler Murray is definitely proving that wrong, but at the same time, he's been injured. But that's a different kind of athlete too. But like, you bring in this new coach, you play one series in the preseason. One series. I talked about this shit last week too. And you just thought everything was all good. We scored on this series. Oh, everything's all good. Bro, put your player out there. What are you worried about? If you're the Panthers, what are you really worried about? Seriously. Like let's be real. You think you're about to win it all this year with Bryce Young as your quarterback? Like, is that really going to happen? Come on. So the main focus should be on developing your quarterback. And that's what you can do in those he should have played every preseason game, to be honest with you. But he didn't. He played one series in the last game against, who was it? Buffalo's third or fourth stringers. And you thought you were good. But after the second game of the season, you bench him. So, like, it just doesn't add up to me. It doesn't add up at all to me. And of course, it's on both sides. It's on the Panthers. It's on Bryce Young. But you didn't do him any favors not playing him in the preseason. He still needs those reps with this system, with these new receivers that he has on the team. Like, you need that. And you didn't give it to him. And then after 2 games, you're like, I watched the film, and I'm going to start Andy fucking Dalton now and see what the fuck's going on. I get that you want to kind of establish a baseline of your roster, because it's been so bad. Those practice games has been so bad that they cannot move the ball. I think they have a total of 10 or something first downs total. Like, first downs total in 2 games. 10 or 11 first downs. So it's been so bad. They can't move the ball. They can't score the ball. So you kind of want to see what you have in Leggett, see what you have in Deontay Johnson, who you just traded for. So you want to put in, a vet to see if Bryce is the problem, or is it everything else? And I mean, we'll see coming up. This weekend they have a good defense that they're going against the Raiders. So if they go out there and stink it up again, then that's looking bad on you again as a coach. Even after,
but that's just a tough situation, because like,
it is a very tough. It's very.
How
tough.
can you do that to somebody? Like you just said, we only in game. This might be game 3, man.
Yeah.
And it was definitely a choice not to play him in the preseason. And now he coming out game 2. By game 2, you just hate it so much. And like you said, Cash, y'all don't have. Why
Like,
you
let's
think
be
you need to
real.
make
Like, yeah,
the?
you
Why
know
you
what I'm
think you
saying?
need to make a decision? But that goes back to me saying it's a pressure on the coach. The coach has the
Yeah.
pressure to make right, to make everything, to make him, whoever is the owner, GM, whoever has the power to fire him, to make him feel like, I am that person. So my job online, Bryce, you gotta sit down because you clearly not following whatever instructions he's giving. And that's the only thing I can think of why they would bench him, because there's like he needs the reps. Like, is Andy Dalton your future? You used a first round pick on him. This is your future. So you need to
And a
right the
lot of
ship.
other capital. Yeah. And
Exactly.
we're we're gonna talk more about it too. But at the same time, like you said, this pressure, you saw the pressure kind of mount for Brian Callahan, head coach of the Titans, literally yelling at his quarterback on the field in front of the cameras where everybody could see him. And he came out initially after the game and said, "Yeah, I was pissed off at him for making that dumb, and it was a very dumb decision." But he came out and then backed it, and then like the next day he was like, I shouldn't have did it like that, Like, that's that pressure cooking. Like, you can see it. You can see it in these coaches. Like, they have to
Again, I
produce
am a new
the type.
coach. You are
Yes,
selling me
exactly.
right now.
You are selling me, and that's exactly what was going through Brian Callahan's like
And
mind.
at
We
this
saw everything
point,
that they added this offseason to all these vets and stuff that they added to this roster for the Titans. And the Titans really should be the Titans should be 2-0. Not even gonna lie. Like, they've been playing solid defense. The quarterback's been selling. So it's like, and then you got the same thing for like Eberflus too. If they don't have Caleb looking right this season, like, he looks very bad. If they don't have him looking right, it's a lot of
it's one
questions.
and done for him. If
You know what I'm
they don't,
saying?
I'm
So
not gonna
that's
say
like,
playoffs, but if he have some more games like these first two, Eberflus out of there.
Yeah. So I mean, it's tough. It's the reality of the situation, though. It's a lot of pressure on these young quarterbacks, which is why I don't hate what the Falcons did, where you go out and get an established quarterback like Kirk, and then give your rookie time to develop. It is not like that's it's not exactly what used to happen, but it's along those lines. Like, there's no pressure on Mike Penix.
Who the best quarterback in the league? Patrick Mahomes. He literally had to sit behind
Alex Smith. Yeah.
He had to sit behind him. I mean, Jordan Love, everybody, want to put him up there as a good quarterback, a top quarterback. He had to sit behind Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers had to sit behind Brett Favre. Like, these quarterbacks that actually have some kind of, unless you just generationally, I mean, even Tom Brady, I mean, he sat behind Drew Bledsoe. I mean, these quarterbacks are sitting behind him, and it is, but again, it's the pressure of we have to fix whatever is the issue.
We have to show
now.
we got it exactly. But that's the I hate that so much, though. I really do, because like, if Bryce Young would have had a year to sit and just learn the speed of the game, learn how to play the game. If Will Levis kind of got thrown out there because of some dumb shit, and if he had some more time, like, that shit can matter. I mean, CJ is just different. I mean, it's just that whole situation. That shit just works for him. It's not like that, though. Sometimes these rookies really, like, dead ass need time. Bo Nix is out there looking like, we'll get to that next week with Shad too, but let's yeah. Anything else about this past week before we get to the picks?
Just a week of parody. I mean, we back, man. NFL's back.
Yeah.
Anything can fucking happen, clearly.
Any given Sunday.
But yeah, I mean, we could table that last week out.
Yeah. All right. So, of course, last week it was a little more even across the board. We had a lot wrong, not gonna lie. Your only right picks were Buffalo, Houston, and Cleveland. And for me, it was just it was Houston and, gosh, who else? That's pretty much it.
Because we had a lot of our picks was all the same, and we lost those.
Yeah. So it was a little bit of a rough week. But we'll start off this week with the Thursday night game. We had the Patriots versus the Jets. Like we said a little earlier, the Patriots look a little frisky now. Like I don't think this would be as easy as, and of course, division game, so it never really is. But it definitely won't be as easy as people think for the Jets, and the Jets are at home, so that counts for something. But who you got? Who you got in this one?
Ooh, like you said, both teams coming in, got some good defense. But I'm gonna go ahead and roll with the Jets. I think just Aaron Rodgers, he's still, getting his feet wet. He's been out a whole entire year. He only played 4 plays last season. It's not gonna be, like you said, I don't think it's gonna be a blowout any stretch of the imagination. It's gonna be a close game, probably like a 17-14 type of game. But I'm gonna roll with the Jets. So
I'm gonna roll with the Jets too. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to use this. Like, he didn't like how the first primetime game went on Monday night. I know he didn't, but that was his first game back from a long extended absence. I think he uses this one to kind of get the narrative back on track and show what the offense can really do. I think Garrett Wilson has a huge game in this one, but Christian Gonzalez is a different animal. So they will have to definitely move Garrett around for him to have an impact, because that's really the main receiver that you're worried about with his Jets offense. So unless somebody steps up, like the first game Alan Lazard did, but at the same time, it was kind of like a losing effort. So not really. It might be a little tough. But I'm going to go to Jets. I'm going to go with Jets. I just think the Patriots offense won't score enough. It won't make the plays. So, and then Shad also picked the Jets, by the way. So we all rolling with Jets on Thursday night. Big game that we kind of hinted at earlier. Philadelphia Eagles versus New Orleans Saints.
I want to hear what you guys say.
This is
fire.
Okay, all right. This is New Orleans is at home for this one. Of course, we saw them come out like world beaters in the first 2 games. I'm gonna go with Philly in this one, and like I said, kind of like I think I said it off air. Like I'm gonna be a hater because I don't want to see them do good. I don't want to see the Saints do good at all. But I also think it's important for Philly to bounce back from that debacle that they had on Monday night. Of course, they're on a shorter week, just by a day though, so not nothing too bad. But I don't know if this Saints, like, I really don't know. And it is a little worrisome after what we saw from the Philly defense. But I think Philly can control the game more than what Dallas could have because of Philly's run game compared to Dallas and the Panthers. You know what I mean? So that's kind of why I'm going to go with Philly in this one.
I mean, it's tough because I feel like you from last week. Like, I don't want to pick against the Philadelphia Eagles, but from what I saw from the Saints is exactly what
exactly in my position.
Exactly what we could not do last week, which is stop the fucking run.
Yeah.
Now, maybe we overcorrect and start running a lot of 5-man fronts, and maybe we can stop the run. But I mean, at this point, until I see it, I'm not gonna believe it. Fuck it, I'm rolling with the Eagles, man. Fuck that. I really was gonna pick the Saints for real, because again, I just can't do it. My heart won't let me do it, but my mind is literally telling me Saints because we could not stop the run 2 weeks in a row. Yeah. And we literally saw what Kamara did. He did what he wanted to do. That offensive line road graders. I'm talking about pushing people. And I'm just like, I don't see it, but I just feel like we need it more than they do. We need the right narrative. Like y'all acting like every game is a potential collapse. Like we gotta fix it. And it's on the road, tough as it might play, but
it's a hostile environment down there.
You really got me hyped. I'm really gonna pick this.
All right, and then Shad picked the Saints, so we'll see who's right on that one. It should be a good game. I can't wait for that one. That was that's a 1:00 game, right? So we'll see how that goes. Next up, we have 2 desperate teams: Baltimore Ravens versus the Dallas Cowboys. Definitely kind of a double must win on this one. The world's not over, I don't think, if Baltimore ends up winning. Because they'll both be at 1-2, but at the same time, Baltimore cannot go to 0-3, and the Dallas Cowboys have to show life. They don't have to win, in my opinion, but they have to show life. like it's tough because I don't think Baltimore like dead ass will go 0-3, but I'm picking Dallas in this one. I don't know why. But I think they kind of bounce back in this one, and I don't like the Ravens. I don't like the look of it right now. I don't like the look of it. It's very clunky on offense. A lot of unknown still. The defense, I think Dallas can exploit the defense unless they have some drastic changes. But yeah, I just think like something in me is telling me not to pick the Ravens. Something in me is telling them this game is about to go. It's about to get crazy. Who's at home actually? Is it Dallas at home?
Yeah, Dallas at home.
Dallas is at home. Yeah, I'm going Dallas. And that would be crazy if the Ravens go 0-3, especially after being number
14-3. They only lost 3 games last year.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. That'd be so crazy, but I'm here for it.
But
I got Dallas.
I'm going Ravens. It's kind of the same sentiment as you. I'm a hater for Dallas. Fuck Dallas. They can't. I don't need them to win no more. I mean, you gotta understand. Watching that Saints game, you was mad as hell. I was happy as fuck because I was like, "Ooh, Dallas getting their ass whooped." But I think the Ravens, they find their identity. Like Dallas, much like the Eagles, can't fucking stop the run. Ravens, run the damn ball. Like you have Lamar.
See, it sounds simple.
It sounds simple.
Will they?
That's the problem. It's like, bruh, I feel like sometimes teams they start hearing the outside noise. They start hearing like, oh, you only one dimensional. You can't, bruh. If that works for you, that works for you. That's making you who you are. Like,
yeah.
Even I'm gonna take it back to when watching the Falcons versus the Eagles. When I saw Jalen Hurts start actually running the ball cast and start making plays like running, I was like, okay, he back. Because all last year, and he was mad fat at the beginning of the game, he kept running straight out of bounds. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, this is not you. Like, I never, like, you just look like you either hurt or you just don't want to do it anymore. But once he started doing that one drive he had where he was doing it and we ended up scoring touchdowns, it's like, bro, this is what makes you who you are, Lamar. Like, I ain't tell you go run people over. I ain't tell you do none of that. But, I mean, y'all are a run-first team. It's okay, bro. That's why you brought Derrick Henry in.
Yeah.
They hyper-focus on you. Hand the fucking ball. Like, I don't know, but
don't get cute with it. Go ahead.
No, I just said that. I mean, that's why I think the Ravens, I feel like, again, 1-2 for Dallas, not the end of the world. 0-3, that's bad. That's close to the end of the world you can get, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Watching that game last week, real quick, on Derrick Henry, we all know he's older now. It's not the same. But I felt like there was a lot of east-west going on more than north-south as far as running. And he's not an east-west running back. Don't get cute with this shit. Run that shit up the fucking inside, inside gaps, inside zone. Like, don't bounce that shit out. He does not look good doing that right now. I don't know if it's his speed. I don't know what it is, but Derrick Henry, like, getting to the outside looked ugly. I don't know if you noticed that or not, but it just looked like, And he gets tackled very easily out there. It's very weird. I don't know. Like, to be so big, he doesn't break a lot of tackles. Like,
he only breaks tackles once he gets going. Like, if you hit him
like once he gets like going downhill, but he's not like, what I mean, like it's. So I mean, but we'll see. But in this one, of course, Shaw picked the Ravens because that's his second favorite team. Clearly, let's see. Next up, we'll do Kansas City versus Atlanta. This is a Sunday. Yeah.
Yes.
Big primetime game again. Sunday night. Free hot dogs. Free bag of chips. Free souvenir soda for the fans, for the friends in attendance. But y'all, like, who you got? Who you got in this one?
I actually think y'all gonna play very well against Kansas City. I would not be surprised if y'all win. I'm just go ahead and go with Kansas City though, just because it's Kansas City. I mean, they got a good D-line. They got a way better D-line than we do. So we're gonna see. And what's their defensive coordinator name? Anyway,
Spagnuolo.
Spag. Yeah, he gonna dial up the blitzes. I mean, he's gonna do that. He's gonna dial up different slot blitzes, corner blitzes, all zero coverage. He's going to dial it up. So I think that does he's going to test Kirk Cousins, something we didn't do. So I think that might ultimately happen. I think it's going to be a worse score game, but it might come down to something like, a game winning drive and they call a timely blitz, sack fumble type shit. So I mean, I know you don't want to hear that, but I just think, at this point,
I mean,
I can't really go against Kansas City too much, even though again they don't always look. They could
easily be 0-2.
They could. Thank you.
At this point.
They don't always look good for whatever reason. It's just like for whatever reason. To be honest with you, they don't play good games. They just get good moments. They get good moments that happen to them that allows them to win the game. But throughout most of the games, they be looking like lackluster. It just don't look good. Like you said, they could be easily 0-2. It just, for their defense to be good, the Ravens really was going up and down the field. They just was bullshitting. And then even last week, for you to think, without Jamar Chase, they offense was still produced. I mean, not Jamar Chase, without T. Higgins and Jamar Chase not really getting targets like that, they offense still producing, defense still locking up. So Kansas City don't always look good, but somehow they get that magic, and all it takes is one time, and they win.
I think this is I'm not gonna do what I did last week. I'm gonna go with Atlanta in this one. And I think this is a big Kyle Pitts game. With all the blitzes that they're going to send, you have to be creative with how you use your tight ends. Whether it's, the block and release, whether it's the slips, across the line, slips out to the flat, stuff like that. Get Kyle Pitts moving, give him the ball in a good spot where he can make some plays after the catch. That's kind of what you saw with Gesicki last week with the Bengals. I think he had like 6 catches for like 70 yards or something like that. And he was their best receiver that night. Of course, Jamar Chase is still good, getting back in the groove of things. But Joe Burrow's going to the tight ends because that's what they gave up. That's what Kansas City, I guess, just gave up. They were like, okay, you're going to target tight ends. And he may have took advantage of that. I think it's a big Kyle Pitts game. I think I'm anxious to see the scheme that they have to kind of combat those blitzes because he's going to send them. And then this one is about the defense. Patrick Mahomes has not looked like that good this season. He's already thrown 3 picks. It's still a lot of question marks there. Of course, Hollywood Brown is out for the season. And then you got Isaiah Pacheco, who is on IR. He's out for at least half the season.
Forgot about that.
So you're bringing in Kareem Hunt. I don't know if he actually plays. He might not even play this game, but you have some P. Ryan. You had a little fullback, running back hybrid back there, the white boy. So do you really trust that run game? So at the same time, and what is Travis Kelce doing? Like he hasn't had 1 catch on the season, 2 catches. Like it's a little ugly. So it's just a lot of we went into this season talking about Patrick Mahomes having more weapons than last year, just for it to turn around and be like, does he? Does he? And of course they'll come against us where all the weapons start going off and shit. But I don't think it's not a good situation right now. Right? I'm not they're still 2-0. I'm not out on them. I had them win the Super Bowl. But at the same time, the process is the process, and it does not look good right now. So I'm gonna go Atlanta in this one at home, and Shad pick Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not mad at it. I mean, when you table it like that, I did forget about Pacheco being injured.
And he's huge for them.
He is huge for them. I mean, he was probably the best player on the offense last week against the Bengals. I mean, he was running really hard. So I mean, it's gonna be a good game though.
We'll see. We got a couple more. Next up, we have Jacksonville and Buffalo.
Buffalo, don't even talk about it. Skip it. Jacksonville's ass. I'm sorry. Jacksonville is not good. I don't know. Look, hey, they had Deshaun Watson talking shit last week. Like they had him thinking he back. He ain't.
He was him. Yeah, he was him. Look, Jacksonville's in trouble. We talked about it before the season about the coaches on the hot seat. You go 0-3, Doug, after 2 winnable games. 2 games like maybe last week wasn't as winnable, but you really still should have won that game. Let's be honest. You go 0-3. Doug Peterson might find himself being the first coach fired in season this year, and I think it'll be deserved. I got Buffalo in this one as well. I don't see how Jacksonville puts up any kind of fight in this one. Buffalo's defense actually looks pretty good. Of course, Shaw talked about last week about like the illusion of the weapons that they lost on defense versus the actual production of those weapons that they lost. And like you can clearly see, like it was more about the scheme. You know, it is more about the scheme now than the actual players, and they're kind of making it work for them. You know, even with the loss of like Matt Milano being injured again and stuff like that. So I got Buffalo in this one. Shad also has Buffalo, of course. This is the
third favorite
one
team,
of the this is one of the Monday night games. This is one of the weeks we have 2 Monday night games, which I hate because they're only like an hour apart.
And then one of them be on some sorry network, so you don't even want to look at it, and it's always a bad game on them. So I don't.
Yeah. So speaking of bad game, we have Washington versus Cincinnati. Look, I'm not gonna play around with this one. I got Cincinnati. Washington, of course, they did get a dub. Congrats. But you did not score a touchdown. You got all field goals in that dub. Look, they've thrown completed 2 passes past 20 yards on the season. 1 or 2, something crazy like that. They're not throwing the ball down the field at all. It's a very high school, middle school ass offense that Cliff Kingsbury is running. Look, Terry McLaurin, your leading receiver, who had 8 targets. He led all receivers with 8 targets, 6 catches. You know how many yards he had?
How many?
22.
That's nasty.
6 catches for 22 yards for your number 1 receiver. How that work? How that work? Like for real. What? So there's no downhill passing into this offense at all. What routes are you running?
Is it straight bubble screens? Like what is this?
Bubble screens, drags. A lot of passes are behind the line of scrimmage in his offense. I don't know what the hell Cliff Kingsbury is cooking up. I don't know if they're saving Jaden Daniels. We'll find out more next week, but I don't like the way the Washington looks. I really don't. Brian Robinson Jr. did have 130 yards running last week. He went off, so they didn't have to do too much to get that dub. But at the same time, it was against the Giants, so you're not really putting too much. The Giants like the second worst team in football behind the Panthers. So I got Cincinnati in this one. Shad also has Cincinnati, of course. Who you got?
You know I'm rolling with Cincinnati. I ain't rolling with no damn Commanders. I mean, like you said, it's just I didn't know none of that. I didn't. That's probably one of the games. I mean, it is my divisional opponent.
I don't blame you.
That's probably one of the games I didn't actually watch the Giants versus Commanders. But I mean,
it was ugly. If you watch that game, and then go back and watch it, Ashley. You go back and watch it, and you'll be like, "What the fuck is this offense?" That's what I was saying a lot of the times. Like, what's going on here? The run game was cool. Jaden Daniels got hurt in this game. I didn't mention that. He came back a few plays later. You got chill, bro. You are only I do.
I will say his first game, I know for a fact he was running the hell out of the ball.
Yeah, he was definitely running less this game, but he got popped. He got split one time, by 2 defenders. So it was he stayed down the field for a little bit. He keep taking his helmet off. I don't know. This has nothing to do with anything. But he keep taking his helmet off on the field. You funny for that. Same thing with CJ.
Bro, it was coming off, bro. He did take the rest of it, but it was sliding. He just threw that for him. As soon as that happened,
you want people to see your face.
I saw it. I was like, he took that hole off.
You want people to see your face. All right, it's cool. I get it. Football. We don't see faces too much, but you could tell Jaden Daniels is more of this. He just got a different mentality. You could just tell. But yeah, I don't think there's any chance they put up a fight in this game. They better not. Or Cincinnati. And look. But that'll pretty much do it for this week's episode of Speak Up Sports Podcast. Of course, we'll be back next week with Shad to kind of recap everything and see who's selling this weekend, honestly, because anything can happen, like we said.
Anything can fucking happen.
All right, catch you next time.